Every finance guy on the internet will tell you to invest in the S&P 500. And honestly, they're not wrong. But nobody is telling you what you might be missing by stopping there. So today I'm going to show you how I invest in 772 world-class companies in one simple click that have nothing to do with America. And by the end of this video, you're going to look at your portfolio very differently. Hello fellow Arbab, it's time to boss your money. I'm Kenneth and I've been working in audit and finance for almost 2 decades now, and I have real money in everything I talk about on this channel. No theory, no paper trading. No, I would have invested if only. And today's video is about a gap that I think almost every NRI investor has in their portfolio, including me for years. And most people never even realize it's there. Stick around because I'm going to show you exactly which ETF fills that gap, why it's specifically built for people like us sitting outside the US, and why the most dangerous 4 words in investing might just be "but America always wins." I love the S&P 500. I have CSPX, my UCITS S&P 500 ETF, and I invest in it every single month without fail. If you haven't watched that video, go watch it after this one. But here's something I notice a lot in Indian finance community. When someone says they're diversified, what they usually mean is they have an S&P 500 fund and an Indian mutual fund. And look, that's a solid start. I do both of those too. But let's be honest about what that actually is. That's 2 countries, India and the US, and that's it. You've diversified across 7,000 kilometers and called it a global portfolio. As the legendary investor John Templeton once said, diversify in stocks and bonds as in much else. There is safety in numbers. 2 countries is not numbers. 2 countries is a preference. The US stock market today represents roughly 65% of the entire global stock market capitalization, which means the other 35% of the world's publicly listed companies, and there are thousands of them, many of them absolutely world-class, simply isn't in your portfolio. You've decided, perhaps without even realizing it, that nothing outside America and India is worth owning. I used to think the same way, and then I started paying attention. The map has always changed. It just doesn't feel like it right now. Here's something worth thinking about. The US stock market hasn't always been the obvious choice. In the 1980s, Japan was so dominant that people genuinely believed it would overtake the US economy. In the early 2000s, the BRICS were the hottest thing in investing. European companies dominated entire decades of the 20th century. The UK had its era. Germany had its era. Even the Dutch East India Company had its era. Before you know, it spectacularly fell apart. My point is, the world has cycles, and it always has. And the US has been in an extraordinary run over the last few decades. Genuinely exceptional, but exceptional runs don't last forever. They never have anywhere. And as John Templeton also said, the 4 most dangerous words in investing are "this time it's different." Now, I want to be clear, I'm not saying the US is done. I invest in the US every single month. But I am saying that as a non-American sitting in Dubai, betting everything on one country's continued dominance, even the best performing country of the last decade, is a risk I genuinely don't need to take. Now, I hear you screaming in the comments, "But Kenneth, Apple and Google are global companies." Look, you're not wrong. Amazon, Google, Apple, Nvidia, these aren't American companies the way a local diner in Dubai is. They are global companies that happen to be headquartered in the US and listed on American exchanges. Their customers are everywhere. Their revenues are from everywhere. But here's the thing. They are still subject to American laws, American tax policies, American political decisions, American regulatory environments, and those things can and do change. We've seen trade wars, sanctions, technology export bans, antitrust actions, tariffs. We've seen what a single executive order can do to an entire sector overnight. And I'm not being dramatic. I'm just reading the news. And then there's a broader conversation happening that I think is worth flagging. De-dollarization, slowly, quietly, and then potentially very quickly. More and more global trade is exploring alternatives to the dollar system. I'm not predicting a dollar collapse. I'm not that guy. But I am watching the conversation shift, and history tells me that when it comes to currencies and economic dominance, nothing is permanent. As a non-American, I have no vote in any of these decisions. I have no lobby. I have no senator. I just have my portfolio. So I have decided to make it as country agnostic as I reasonably can. So what's in the other 35% of the world? This is where it gets genuinely interesting, because I think most people assume that outside the US, it's just a collection of smaller, slower, less exciting companies. And let me respectfully disagree. We have ASML, which is a Dutch company. They manufacture the lithography machines that semiconductor fabs use to make chips. They are one of the biggest monopolies in the world. Then we have AstraZeneca. They are a British pharmaceutical company. Then, as Indians, we've all heard of Nestle. Well, guess what? They are a Swiss company. How about HSBC, one of the world's largest bank, deeply embedded across Asia and Middle East and Europe? They know this part of the world better than most. Shell, Siemens, Roche, Novartis, Toyota, Royal Bank of Canada, SAP, Hermes, Samsung. I could keep on going. These are not small, obscure regional companies hoping to one day make it big. These are some of the most dominant, most profitable, most deeply embedded business on earth. And none of them, not a single one, shows up in your portfolio if all you own is S&P 500 and Indian mutual funds. So that's where ex-US comes in. Officially, the ex-trackers MSCI World ex-USA UCITS ETFs. It tracks 772 large and mid-cap companies across 22 developed markets in the world. The one thing that they all have in common, not one of them are American. You've got Japan, UK, Canada, France, Germany, Switzerland, Australia, Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark, Hong Kong, Singapore, and more. 22 countries, 772 companies, one ETF, one click. Now here's the part that I know matters to every single one of us as Indians in the UAE. ex-US is a UCITS ETF, and I've covered at length in many of my other videos about why a UCITS ETF is so important for us. I'll link a few at the end of this video or down in the description below. Now, I'm not telling you not to invest in an S&P 500 index fund. Quite the opposite. Think of it like a cricket team. If CSPX is your Virender Sehwag, your EXUS is your Rahul Dravid, the wall. You can capture the enormous growth potential of America through S&P 500 index funds, and then also have the rest of the world backing you up with someone like the wall on the other end. What I can tell you for sure is that no matter what, I invest in both of these funds every single month. No thinking, no timing, just consistency. As Charlie Munger once put it, the best thing a human being can do is to help another human being know more. I'm just trying to be that guy. Whether you act on it is entirely up to you. I don't just invest in these two funds. I invest in a lot more well-diversified portfolio. If you want to check that out, watch this video. If you want to learn more about CSPX, watch this video. If you enjoyed and learned something new from this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you for 10K subs. Next goal is 100K subs. Yalla Arbab, now go boss your money.